Welcome to this episode of the Comedy Defect Podcast. This is episode 42. We've done 42 of these now. 42 episodes. And this one is a great episode. This is with a very funny comic, a guy that's just got a little interesting way about him, an interesting perspective on the creative stuff that he's putting out into the world, trying to reduce negativity around the globe with his comedy and his creative processes and thoughts. We go quite deep on the reasons why Mel Knight does comedy and is involved in this creative ambition that he set himself. He talks very candidly about that, which is great. We connected on a lot of things. He runs his very own podcast called the Midnite Hour. Go check that out on YouTube. Go find him on Facebook. Go follow him on Twitter. He's writing his first half-an-hour special, which he's going to be taking up to the Fringe to road test this year. And he's taking it also to the Camden Fringe and the Brighton Fringe. And he's going to be doing some stuff with Rick Murta, also another friend of this podcast. Now, if you like this podcast, you can follow us on Twitter. We're there at The Comedy Defect. If you want to follow me, it's at WinterPhonander. If you want to support this podcast, you can go to Patreon, type in The Comedy Defect Podcast, and you can donate as little as £1 or as much as you feel this podcast is worth. And those of you that do donate, thank you, because you're paying for the people that can't. And don't worry, those of you that can't afford to, just share your favourite episode, retweet, comment about your favourite episode, because it tells people where we are and what we're doing. I guess you want to know what's happening with me this week. Well, let me tell you, I've been doing gigs all over. I went down to Portsmouth, closed the gig, went back down to Bognor Regis for another set, then went back up to Macclesfield the next night, then back down to London on the Sunday with about 4 hours sleep, and did 2 kids shows, and they were fun. All of them were great, but I'm absolutely dead. So I'm going to make this intro really short today, because I'm hanging on to the last shred of energy that I've got left. You're going to really enjoy this episode. We talked about loads of different things. We went deep on a lot of stuff. It was just such an easy chat with Mel. It flew by. And you're going to really enjoy this episode with a very funny, very easygoing, extremely candid Mr. Mel Knight. Mel Knight, welcome to the Comedy Defect.
Thank you very much, man. It's great to be here.
You're welcome, man. You're welcome. Yes. How are you getting on?
I'm getting on well. I kind of got a bit of a hangover, you know what I mean? So if I sound a little bit sounding weird in voice, it's because, I hit the hay really late last night. Yeah. Then I got up super early, got my hair done because, I knew I was coming on the show. So you guys can tell from my voice, my hair's done. All round just a lazy kind of day because of the weather. I wasn't really moving as fast as I would.
You were in London last night?
I actually live in London. I don't often venture deep outside of London to go and party. It'll be the occasional, like a friend's birthday in Romford or something. I think it started pretty much in Central, ended up back at mine thanks to the 29 bus. Yeah, too many beers. We've got 24-hour Polish Sklep, which is Polish shop where we're from. They sell loads of Polish beers, and that was it. Polish beers.
Like Tyskie?
Tyskie and the other one, the one with a Z.
The green one?
No, just Twisky and this. The one with a Z is like a red writing, blue background, and a white background. Yeah, it's like right next to Twisky and Whiskey. But you kind of forget what the names are after a while.
Someone's birthday last night or something?
No, it wasn't anyone's birthday at all. It was just the fact that it was my first day off in ages, and all of my friends decided we got to get him on his day off. I met one of them earlier on throughout the day, and then later on in the evening, the other one came down, and before you know it, there was 3 more. Yeah. And that's what usually happens at my place. They find out, if he's not doing comedy and he's not working, in the hospital, we can catch him at his place 9 times out of 10. And there was probably a bag of weed or 2 that was smoked as well. So needless to say, it was a very messy night. Yeah.
And you work in a hospital, you said?
Yeah, I've been doing it for almost a decade now, probably more. Started when I was in my early 20s. I dabble out of quitting, if you know what I mean. Not like a comedian says I'm not going to do comedy and then 2 weeks later they're on stage. I actually walked away from working in a hospital because it's very serious life and death stuff. Just kind of need a break. I love what I do, man. I make people happy most of the time. It's kind of like a training for comedy.
What is it, though?
Basically, I did pain management where patients would come in and I would take down all of their details, check their weight, whatever, pop a cannula into their arm, set them up for a drip with whatever pain-relieving medicine would be inside the drip, or just prepare them for an injection. Some of them just needed pinpoint injections, like acupuncture type stuff. in general, make them teas and coffees and make sure that their blood pressure didn't go too doolally while they were swimming in a sea of ketamine listening to Hendrix. So yeah,
Whoa.
That was pain management. And now I've just gone into like a locum position, so accident and emergency, orthopedic, oncology, whatever type of wards is need somebody, and they're like, oh, somebody's sick or someone broke their leg, can you come on in? I usually get a call and end up leaving my house around 8:30, 9 o'clock, turn up at the ward at like 9:30, 10, and work until 8 o'clock in the evening, which is sometimes a bummer because you can't make it to certain walk-ons, and some promoters demand that you get there before 7:30. So sometimes I could miss a gig. Other times I just end up in central London wrapped around a pint.
So 10 till 8ish then is it? Your
Mostly, if I've pre-booked it, then it's 8 till 8, so it's a 12-hour stint. But,
same.
I like being freelance because then I can pretend I got the text message half an hour later.
Yeah.
Go into the shower, rub one out, or, just have some me time knowing that I'm about to put my body through the ringer.
Yeah. That's a great job, though.
Yeah, I'm
amazing.
It's perfect. It's the way forward, really, because before when I was in a contract, and they say something like Edinburgh came up, and I'd be like, hey boss, can I go away for like 3 weeks in Scotland, to not find myself, not to have any leisure, but to just try and work really hard at being a stand-up comedian. Your boss would usually go, no, we don't want you to be creative and get ideas and delusions of grandeur and leave this position, we need you. But they don't really want you to kind of be disheartened and be like, oh, you wouldn't let me go Edinburgh, I quit. So they give you a week or 2 weeks, and unfortunately if you're building up to your first run, this is where people quit their jobs and stuff like that, and I never wanted to be in that position. So it's good that I can, just work a buttonload of shifts before August and disappear.
I used to work in a hospital, but nothing like that. I was a porter.
Porter, okay, yeah.
Best job. I mean,
I want to do that.
Best job ever, man.
Yeah.
It is amazing. Like you've got, you're not a doctor, you're not a nurse, you don't have the pressure. You have to get the people where they need to get to, and you have to know about gas and all basic stuff.
Yeah,
you're at a high risk of getting MRSA anytime, like anyone who works in a hospital, but. It was the best job I'd ever had, and I was doing my degree at the time, and I was like, oh man, I could live in this job forever.
For a long time.
Yeah, I could. I mean, because you're not using your brain, but you can do other stuff like whatever in your time off. But that was like the best job, and the nurses were there, and you're like, they love the porters because you're like, oh, how you doing? Because we're all relaxed and stuff. We're trying to get people around.
Yeah,
amazing job. I swear you should.
And the thing is, because like you said, you walk into a ward with a smile on your face, and then there's a nurse who just looks like she's ready to absolutely explode. She sees you with a smile, you're like, hey honey, what's up?
Yeah.
And for a moment, like it is good because the doctors walking with their own kind of smarmy smile, like, hey, I played a round of golf this weekend, whereas you guys coming a bit more natural, like, listen, do you want me to get you some oxygen? Let me get that for you. And it's like they do love the porters.
That's it. You're trying to, and if you don't get on with the porters, you'll get nothing.
Yes, absolutely. I called for a porter half an hour ago. If you were nice to Dave, you know what I mean? Maybe, exactly. I can see that. Everyone's got their own clickstone in hospital. Like, you're right, and they all stick together, the porters, which is very, very good. And the other thing you said was the pressure is off, because when the crash call goes off and everyone's scrambling to save a life, the porter's just like, well, let me just go and nonchalantly grab some oxygen and put it in the middle of the aisle. Someone's grabbed it. Okay, let me just grab the defib, and they can just very calmly go about it.
Just take the brakes off the trolley and we're going to intensive care now. Okay, we've called the lift. Yeah, we've called the lift. It's coming. It's coming. Right, here we go. And that is it.
And everyone else around him is panicking.
Exactly.
It's a very good observation, actually. I work in a hospital and I keep forgetting how calm under fire they are. So you said you were doing a degree?
I did a degree in video. I was talking to another comic, and he was like, I know what failure's like. I've done a degree in video.
Is it like what, video editing or?
Everything, like video editing, filming, all that stuff. But I did my degree in Wolverhampton. The English government paid for the course because I think just probably guilt.
Yeah.
So degree in medicine.
No, not exactly. No, health studies, and then afterwards nursing. But it wasn't a degree; it was a diploma at the time.
Right.
I actually don't have any degrees, so to speak of. I like how just close enough I hit the 180 on like the darts,
right.
But I unfortunately hit a double 20 at the end. So it's like 140 or 60, whatever. And I was like, oh, you're so close.
Yeah.
So the idea was, me in higher education, I always wanted a degree, but after my first stint, like studying for I think 2-3 years in a row, I got kind of lethargic of having to endeavour to get books and just spend a lot of my time not earning money and not enjoying myself. So I found that after doing the nursing and stuff, there was obviously a bereavement as well. Right. But I decided to leave London for a while and reset. I went to Florida for about 6 months. That was pretty eye-opening for me. And by the time I came back, I kind of started putting the steps towards being an entertainer. I thought I went back into acting, basically. I just knew that for some reason I didn't want to work. And I felt like going to uni was only preparing me for being in a higher position of work. I just kind of shied away from it.
And what was was your mom or dad, or what was the bereavement, or was your brother?
No, it was my eldest brother, biological brother from my mum and dad. But unfortunately, like my mum and dad, they weren't really together when I was growing up. So it meant that when I left my house, I was already 17, moved into my flat. And my brothers and I were kind of separated anyway for a long period. So let's just say he wasn't really prevalent in my life when he died. I only saw him maybe 3 or 4 times that year. But when he did die, it was weird. I had to get the entire family back together. I don't know if you've seen that film with Chris Rock, Death in the Family. It's very much like that. I was meeting family members that was like an old senile version of Danny Glover. I had there's definitely like the Richard Pryor uncle who's very drunk and, oh my God, he's going to say some words now. Jesus Christ, everyone hold on to your seats. There was a woman that was at the funeral that no one knew who she was. And I kept asking everyone, who is she? They're like, oh, isn't she a member of... No, I don't know who she is. I knew this woman was different because everyone else in the funeral was wearing dark clothes. She's wearing like she just came off of the, Acapulco cruise, you know what I mean? She's wearing like this bright colours. And so we get to the point where it's like, you know, everyone's saying some words and blah, blah, blah. And we're walking past the casket and everyone's like laying the roses and stuff. And she just starts bawling like, oh my God, I can't believe this has happened. It's too soon. He was so young. And I just asked, I was like, Mum, who is this woman? Who is she? And my mom's like, I don't know. I thought you knew. So I blocked it out and we're all getting in limousines. We're going now to, you know, we're burying him now and everyone's singing gospel songs because that's what they do in my family. We're Caribbean. Everyone's putting on the bits of dirt and stuff like that. And the priest is like, we're all going to go off and have the little, you know, the wake, the party, whatever it is. And as we're all leaving, everyone's like, she's still standing by the grave and crying. I'm like, who is she? I mean, I don't know who this woman is. I don't even think my brother knew who she was. So we get to the bit now, everyone's having food. This is the sing-along now, everyone's dancing. We're playing good music. We've got all of his favourite songs on. And we're at the table and I'm picking up like 2 pieces of chicken. I don't really want to eat that much. And I remember looking over and she's like talking to people like, well, it's a nice spread, but you know, it's kind of missing a bit of crunch. You could do with some more crunch, you know. Actually, he's a cucumber. Yeah. And I just lost it. I was like, I'm sorry. Listen, I like the fact that everyone's here, but could someone tell me who the fuck she is? Who is she? Who does she come with? Who knows her? Yeah. I just want to be able to know how she got here. And no one knew who she was. Whoa. She was just one of these funeral crashers.
No.
And and it was, for me, this was the moment where I knew I had to be a comedian, like, because I was going to go off on her.
Totally.
But I was like, well, you know, I feel like you've definitely added some colour to today.
Yeah.
Without you, probably we wouldn't be this happy. But with that said, we're going to hook you up with a goodie bag. And the family is all going to give you a hug on your way out. And she goes, oh, really? I was, yeah. This is just for us. We're going to say some real dark shit now. We're going to talk about how bad of a person he was because, you know, that's what family can do. But you never knew him. So we want to keep it in the family. So if it's okay, we'd like to talk shit about this person who's just passed away. Yeah. And she's like, but he was your brother. I was like, yeah, who better to talk shit about him? So could you please go? And she ended up leaving. Yeah. And that's the one thing I'm taking from, like, me becoming a comedian is the fact that I was thrust into a situation in the midst of craziness. Yeah. And I somehow managed to not lose it and just kind of tactfully, you know, deal with an entire room full of people based on one audience member. So I think I'm heckle free for life.
Yeah, I think you won that, definitely.
Yeah.
You took the humour route, which I like. Fair play, man. That's good going, especially in that high volatile situation.
Oh, God,
she was dressed for a cruise by the sound of it.
Definitely. It seemed like she just saw a lot of people. Yeah, she just saw like a lot of people walking there at church. It's like, well, maybe it's like, you know, service. Then when she saw like the casket, she's like, well, let me just blend in. And I was like, it's at that point where I started noticing her, like, who's this woman who I can just see, like, you know, trying to, her shoulders down, even though she's tall as.
Wow.
But, you know, that giraffe lady with the wonderful dress, she got a good meal. And she managed to send off my brother, which was good.
You were still hospitable, fair play to you.
Yeah, I did. And up to that point, I'd already told certain people, you know, like, you've got cancer or he's going to have to face treatment, which is really, you know, I've told bad news to people before. So meeting up with the whole family, getting my mum and my dad together after years. And I was like, you know, been a while since you guys seen each other, isn't it? Right. So it's, I found my defense mechanism is humor. And I think as human beings, we're always going to be put in a very uncomfortable situation, whether we like it or not. I feel like the best of us can just turn it on its head and make it slightly funny for it. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah.
So, and what part of the Caribbean are you from?
Jamaica, but
yeah?
it's odd because my mum is Jamaican Cuban and my father's Jamaican Chinese, so I'm mixed up.
Yeah, yeah.
Because on a Friday it would be like, ethnic night. We're supposed to eat something really, something exotic. Because we're already from somewhere exotic, we just had fish and chips. What else was there to have? Do you know what I mean? There's some Chinese in us. We've done jerk chicken chow mein and played out.
That's it. Let's just beige the shit out of this. So, yeah, we've done all that.
The world is beige now, if you think about it. Everyone's got a spice in their cabinet or something like that.
That's true.
Or at least dated a girl in uni. Do you know what I mean? Have you ever dated a girl outside of, like Irish?
Well, I'm married to an Indian, Gujarati Indian woman.
Okay, wonderful.
And that's her Indian mother there that you just saw.
Yeah,
that's it's an interesting mix for sure. Yeah, sure, man. I've dated a few different ethnicities in my time.
Yeah.
It's great. That's it.
I like to say I've dabbled in decorative dames before.
Yeah, you tread very carefully with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally. I was like, please let these words come out correct.
I tend to not think about them as they come out and just hope they all land.
Totally.
Yeah, I'm the blind boxer. Just, I might hit something.
Not look at them like they're just a selection of chocolates or meats or whatever it is we'd like to try.
Even though men are happy to be in that category, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Well, but we can't appear to be that way. We have to pretend not to be that way, isn't it?
Sensitive meat.
Yeah. It's true. Tenderize it first.
Yeah.
That sounds even worse. That sounds more serial killer-esque. But anyway,
gosh.
So yeah, that sounds like a very high pressure job you're in as well. A lot of stuff you've got to really kind of shove down the kind of be professional. Keep yourself together and delivering bad news and hopefully sometimes good news.
Definitely. There's loads of good news.
Yeah.
There's loads of good news. Like, don't worry, sir. It is not a tumour. It's just a benign mole. Get out of here.
Amazing.
A lot of the time, people will come in with something which they've read off the internet. Like, I've been sweating, but I blame them probably watching American TV or like watching the wrong kind of stuff. Where it's like, do you have this? Have you ever gone to sleep tired and woke up, refreshed? Yes, I have. You are normal. What's the cure? You can be erratic and take this pill and it'll make you. I feel people are waiting for something so that they could take a week off of work. I feel like everyone's tired if you catch them at the right time. Most people will become the sum of their symptoms. I've told people, listen, you've got this and you're going to have treatment for a couple of years. Like, all right, cool. Can I still go to WrestleMania? I'm like, yeah, bro. Then that's them. They're like, listen, if it's not stopping me from doing this, as far as I'm concerned, you haven't told me anything. Give me the tablets and I'll go on my way. And other people just kind of shut down, and I think it's because they're so busy working, family and stuff like that. You're telling them you're gonna have to take a break for a moment, and they can't comprehend that. So it's not really bad news per se. It's just you have to let them know that it's not the end. You can easily push through this as long as you've got some fight in you.
That's positive. And you went to Florida after that?
Yeah.
What was that? What did you do?
So my aunt lives in Fort Lauderdale, which is pretty much a beach. It's all lovely. It's all not quite Miami Vice, but it's close enough. So I thought, that's the perfect slice of distraction I could do. Also broke up with a girlfriend I was with for a few years, and my very first girlfriend. So it was like I'm not really brave enough to sling dick in London. I feel like if I go to America, I can just frivolously throw my man meat around, and that's what I did. It wasn't even just the accent; it was the fact that it was hot, and I was kind of in rebound mode. So I had a lot of fun sowing my young wild oats, and I went to Miami, Florida, just to see what the scene was like. And I was blown away. I mean, I saw one comedy show and I was like, how the hell do I get near enough the ability to be able to come back to this country and perform? So that was very tough, because it was like I went back to the drawing board, and then I realised how you break into London gigs and stuff. But I had a little strategy from then. And I just went from bar to bar and spoke to strangers. And I found that I was making strangers laugh. So I was like, I'm onto something here at least. So it was just a lot of soul searching and a lot of beers. Yeah, and your accent over there must have got you an awful lot of entertainment. Yeah, definitely. But I think because I've got a way of going either into Caribbean so that I can sound like from Fort Lauderdale to Jamaica, it's an hour and a half flight. And I think that's why my aunt chose there to live. So there's loads of Jamaicans there, and I could have just got past as like their typical Jamaican, dude. I instead decided to start off American, and as they thought I was one of them, just hit the English at the very end. And those breaks would make people fall off of their chairs. It would be like, what? Oh my God. Like, wait a minute. Are you actually American and you did an English accent, or are you actually English and you've been impersonating an American? I was like, which one will make you less unhappy? But it would fuck with them, and I'd like doing that. In New York was the best, because in New York I spent the entire time as American, and I figured, let me see if my accent can work so I can go on an audition and fool these fuckers. And New York's a lot more gullible, because I feel like it's such a melting pot and muddleness of American accents that they had no idea where I was from. And for me, it's like, hey, listen, I need the MTA to Grand Portland Station. Where am I going? And they're like, just take this one over here and take number 16. I'm like, thanks, dude. I never questioned it once. I'm like, oh, wait, say that again? Yeah. They couldn't pick it up. So, America for me was just how I can turn myself into someone else, disguise myself and get rid of, Do
you get many other accents apart from that? Do you do impressions as well in your act?
You mean on stage?
Yeah.
Oh, not really, I mean, I don't know if I've even got the comedy format down properly. I know it's really hard. It's like going back to English school again. You have to learn how to format sentences and paragraphs, and your grammar's got to be on point. So for me, I figured start off with just 25 minutes of introducing yourself to the crowd, and then after that, good jokes will build out of these stories. And so it was mostly stories, and in that there's only really room for one or two Caribbean people maybe, and an English teacher. So I've just kept it pretty much who I am. A lot of people said you should probably do more impressions, and I want to do them justice. I don't want to just stand up and do nothing. So who knows? Definitely before Edinburgh, I will have about 10 minutes of impressions. I just need to work out how that fits in with my narrative right now.
Yeah, you just play with it and see what comes up, isn't
Absolutely.
it? Do it good enough times to be like, oh, where's this voice come from?
Exactly. Realise it's a wrestling program. Stop it, you're scaring people. But there's tons of them. I like the American accents, though. They're kind of fun.
You said wrestling. Are you mad into wrestling as well? Or?
Oh, of course. I mean, like any kid growing up with, single mum, three brothers just tearing up a household.
Yeah.
My mum would just stick wrestling on, and for some reason, you'd think it would not calm the kids down. Yeah. But all it did was just download us with more fuckery moves to do to each other at school and outside. So we would just fixate ourselves and learn all of these moves. And wrestling was very popular back in the day. My uncle, who's 65, still watches it. Yeah. Yeah, ridiculously so.
With a big finger.
Oh, yeah. And he's the guy that's he's telling me what's going on. He goes The Rock is back. I'm like, wait. Oh, Uncle, what? You're a grown man. You should not be watching. Don't you dare talk about wrestling. I'm going to get you in a powerbomb. I was like, okay, Uncle, you will. Yeah. You will slam me across this room. But it's family entertainment, and it's always been in our family. So to that extent, one of my jokes is based on a wrestling move. Yeah. Tombstone Power Driver.
Oh, right, yeah. Yes, I remember it now. Yeah. Yes, that's right.
That's all it is, yeah.
That's a big finishing move.
Exactly. It was my closer for a long time, and then I had to remove it from the side, because everyone was like, do you always close, do you always finish with that joke? I was like, I don't want to call it my finisher, but it is. So,
it's climax.
And it's fun when, I've had this closer for I had it for maybe a year and a half, and then I just moved it to the middle, and then at one point it was how I opened my act. Yeah. And now I'm getting to a point where my new closer is no longer my closer. Yeah. So I'm no longer relying on my big laugh. I'm looking for my next big laugh. And that's scary shit, man.
Yeah, man. That's it. And when did you start?
I probably started 4 years ago, August. So this year would make it, I think, 5. But if I'm being honest with myself, I started 4 years ago. 4 years ago.
I love the way you say slinging dick and slinging mic.
Slinging dick and slinging mic.
It's an extension.
Yeah, only 2 things I've got to me, you know what I mean? I'm just happy one of the corners. The idea that I've done it every single day or every week of the year is a fallacy, or it's false. I've done probably podcasts on days that I haven't gone out and done my gig. I've gone to other people's gigs and I've done things outside of comedy. So I have a healthy balance. I think I do 6 months solid of comedy. The other 6 months I live and dabble in and out of stage time because I'm still learning. I don't think I'm even at a stage where I've impressed myself yet. I hate every time we go off a stage. When people tell me I'm good, I'm like, you're either doing that because I'm struggling and you've been nice to me to give me some self-esteem, or you really have no idea how much I'm going to go home and not sleep thanks to this, because I thought I did terrible and I would expect no one to say anything so I can just walk out with my own thoughts. But then it means that, well, if they like something about it, what aren't you liking about it? And that takes me a long time to find out.
It's like, I know that I get the same thing when someone says that they like the stuff, sometimes when I really felt that I hadn't done well, and if someone says to me, there's only been a couple of times when I've really kind of gone, when someone says he did well, I'm like, why are you telling me that? Why are you telling, what? I mean, that's just my own paranoia. I know, I should just go, yeah, thank you very much. And then you should walk away from that person, because they're going to say something that's going to ruin that moment that they're giving you a little bit, if you can believe it, a little bit of kudos. You just take it, go, thank you, and then just put it with the rest of the hate that you've got for yourself, and it won't help it, but it'll be there with it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's a great way of looking at it.
They're all the same. It's like the hate and the love are exactly the same level. Just over there. You want to be self-aware, of course.
Absolutely.
That's it.
And it's like you said, the way you administrate.
I do now.
And hate, you do now, yeah. Because I don't know why I can't take compliments properly. Even when people compliment you on your appearance and stuff like that, I'm like, shut up. It's something weird to me. But the way you just said, well, if you just put it in the same, like an evidence locker in the police thing, like you've just got a nice little love bomb there sitting next to all this other, bad stuff. Who knows? It might permeate and just you can look at it later.
I might look in that drawer when I'm feeling really bad. Oh, they said good. Okay, I walked away at the right time. Oh, this other drawer. Oh, I didn't walk away at the right time, and they ruined it. Oh, I'll lock that one and not look at it again.
I mean, I think as you grow older, it's easier to look at stuff, isn't it?
That's it.
When you're young, it just khakis you in the face.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
I hope it didn't get my mouth.
You totally react as well. It's like Bruce Lee.
Yeah, exactly. You might have had hepatitis. What are you doing? Yeah, Bruce Lee had that look on his face. Jesus.
God damn it, MRSA. And how old are you?
I'm 32 years old.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I'm going to be 33 in September, 33.
You're the 80s kid as well, that's fine.
Yeah, 1984.
Same.
I love the 80s movies, love the 90s music.
Chuck Norris all the way then?
Chuck Norris up to a certain point.
Yeah.
There was, Bruce Lee for me was my favourite. Jackie Chan was a very close second. Then there was all these other, swashbuckling, chop-socky cocksuckers that was out there back in the day. Like I remember No Retreat, No Surrender, Ring of Fire. There was loads of these movies like... Fuck Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
There's so many movies, and you go to the blockbuster martial arts section, and there's just too many movies.
That's it.
And that's how I got fixated on that.
Yeah, same like Delta Force 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
terrible.
I mean,
movies.
you can't get worse than we're talking about sequels that went out of control. Death Wish 1 was amazing. Jeff Goldblum. In many ways, it's like America's version of Clockwork Orange without the rehabilitation of this guy.
Yeah.
But it was Charles Bronson, isn't it? Yeah, just going crazy with a revolver. And now you think about what's our modern day Death Wish, and it's pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It will be Steven Seagal's movies. He's got like a version of Death Wish. Stallone probably had his own version. It's been played out, that formula.
Yeah.
So who's our new modern day Charles Bronson? Who is it?
I say the modern one. They've tried to hook in Jason Statham, haven't they?
I knew he was going to say that.
That's it. And because they've done
transport,
and the mechanic, because the transport was definitely no pun intended, the vehicle for moving him towards the mechanic.
Yes.
And the mechanic,
have you fucking up cast and fixing them?
Totally.
I like that.
But you didn't really think that, like, because you saw him in the mechanic, you were kind of going, he just looks too oafish to fit that role. Like, I'm just gonna,
I didn't actually watch The Mechanic with Jason Statham.
I saw about 10 minutes of it and I was like, I can't watch this anymore, this is terrible.
Because Charles Bronson's one was like, he would set up shit so that you ended up killing yourself.
Yeah.
If you knew the guy had a bad heart, you'd have a radio just cotching on top of a shower head. And the moment he got in the shower, it would just fall in and electrocute him. Pacemaker flies out of his chest. So, like, Charles Bronson set it up, whereas with Jason Statham, like you said, it's oafish. He's just like, he's going to beat the shit out of him with his kung fu. So
that's exactly it.
But Denzel Washington can still, I saw The Equalizer, and I felt like he's old, but he somehow managed to pull off an old guy doing action. Liam Neeson, not so much. 25, was it? 25 takes.
Taken 5 now at this stage?
Yeah. It was remember they showed him jumping over the fence? So it's like in John Wick, they show one continuous shot of him jumping over something. But with Taken, they show 25 different shots to show you that this is how long it takes Liam Neeson to jump over a fence and get down and...
That's it. Yeah. So you were into Bruce Lee and stuff. You did martial arts and stuff.
Yeah, classic action and like Jean-Claude Van Damme and stuff like that. I mean, I think Kickboxer was the first film I ever saw.
Totally.
On VHS, and it was my uncle's, and I was only like 8 years old. I was really young, way too young to watch it. I remember feeling sick when his brother got paralysed.
Oh yeah.
I'd never seen or known about people not being able to walk, so this was like a bit of reality for me. And I was like, wait, he can't walk because the guy just elbowed him in the back. And for some reason, the silly thought in my head was like, if I'm ever in school and some dude's trying to fuck with me, I'm just going to elbow him in the back. So as a kid, like, I was learning how to maim, which was weird. You'd think I'd be scared or drawn back from it. After watching all these martial arts films, I kind of had this sense of responsibility of not only my body but to defend it in case somebody wanted to fuck it up.
Totally.
But I was always into action movies because it was probably the only movies outside of Disney that taught me about real consequence.
Yeah, and then, well, that's fair play, man. That's deep, man. You really went into it. I was just like, oh, blood. Oh,
yeah.
That was it. And the guy beating the shit. He cut down a palm tree with his leg.
Exactly.
And then he did cry afterwards. Obviously,
God,
he was like, he was screaming and like his shin was in a mess.
Yeah,
but
it set up the love angle, isn't it? While she's like wiping down his leg, like he's looking at her like, well, you know,
that old chestnut. It hurts. Please kiss it, baby.
Yeah,
no,
that old chestnut.
That's it. That old
Yeah,
man. So where did you first gig?
Cavendish Arms, I think, was my first gig. I was it was after work. I was with work colleague and a friend, and he dabbled in comedy, and he said, "Oh, I've done Cavendish Arms. Just go down there." I brought my friends down with me because it was a bringer, so you needed them. I'm more than happy to share how terrible my opening joke was. This was around Lent. So it's around now, I suppose, isn't it? Because it's still in Lent. A few people went up and said some Lent jokes. So I thought, I'm not going to write anything. I'm just going to go off the cuff, and it was terrible. So I was like, yeah. So my girlfriend's been kind of lazy because I'm an all-round type of love guy. You know, I take care of her, I cook for her, but I'm also very special in the bedroom. And I found that she's getting a bit lazy and complacent. You know, she's no longer like making me a sandwich when I ask her to. You know, being like blah blah blah. And to cut a long story short, I said I'm giving up. Cunnilingus for Lent. I'm giving up pussy eating, and it's not because she enjoys it. I enjoy it more, but I can go without one of my pleasures, knowing full well that when those 40 days and 40 nights are over, we're both going to appreciate God afterwards. She's going to appreciate calling his name out, and I'm going to appreciate going back down on her.
Yeah.
Because she probably would have ended up making me a sandwich on day 39. So anyway, it was a terrible joke. And I just remember the people recoiling when I said giving up pussy eating. I didn't say cunnilingus, I said pussy eating. And everyone's faces went back like, look at this like 14-year-old talking. Like,
you're 14?
No, because just I looked young,
obviously.
So a lot of people didn't know my age, and I've gone up there, you know. I think it was way too vulgar. They hadn't even got used to the idea of who's this young-looking person talking about eating pussy.
Of course,
And so I kind of drew back on that, and I never spoke about pussy for maybe another 2.5 years, and then I was brave enough to talk about, you know, the standing 69ers. But it was weird. I had this way of talking to loads of people off stage where I was always forward, direct, and sexual innuendo at times. But you know, I'm not a dirty comic. I'm a dirty guy. Like I have a certain type of humour which very quickly I might just jump somewhere, and it's usually funny. So I figured take that person up on stage, and I realised you got to have a bit of tact. You got to have them take their own hand and pull it in the warm water before peeing themselves. And I kind of did it the other way around.
Okay, right. So make friends with them first, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
They've got to be complicit.
It's not an easy room though. That there's a bit of a click there too, and you know yourself. You go and do a couple of gigs there, like you do too. You're like, oh well, this isn't really okay. It's for people who've only done it like starting, which is fine. But then there's certain people that go there again and again, and their friends are other comics who go there again and again, and so they'll win it one time, and it's rent a crowd at that stage.
Yes.
So, look, if you vote for me this time, I'll vote for you the next time, and it's really like that. And so, like you learn very quickly that is not a gig.
Yeah.
Who's the person that you saw when you were like, oh man, I want to do that? Did you remember the name of the guy that you saw in film?
It wasn't so much I saw him and then I was like, I can do that. It was the fact that I saw him and I went, fuck me. This is the kind of British comedy, but also it was a black comedian as well. And I figured at this stage, every black comedian was either a caricature of a rude boy, so, you know, like militant black guy. And I figured it was like, is it going to be like I look at all these guys and think I'm gonna have to turn what I think is funny into this? But then I saw Dane Baptiste perform, and I was like, well, he's deadpan at a moment, then he's really hype at another moment, and then he's freaking dry at another moment, and he's darker, and I just thought the joke writing was phenomenal, and I was like, if I can do half of what this guy has done. I saw him like my first time when I went to Up the Creek. I was blown away. And then second one I saw was Prince Abdi. Because with Prince Abdi, when I first saw him, we were both doing TNT, which is Tuesday Night Toriano's, kind of famous like open mic gig in North London. And he had a notepad, massive notepad, and you'd go on stage and you'd tell a joke, and he'd pretend that he was crossing him out. But he knew, because he had the jokes there, he was like, I'm going to tell it as it is. One-liners, soliloquy, and I was like, this guy's fucking amazing. And he's not breaking the fourth wall, but he's not hiding the fact that, I know this is a keeper, kind of self-confident and self-aware in what he was doing. So I just said those two were the first kind of comics that made me go, you're funny anyway, but get to a point where you're confident enough to be whatever you want to be, as these two have kind of shown you it can be done. So yeah, definitely Dane Baptiste and Prince Abdi.
Was there anyone like on the kind of on TV or anything like that? You went, oh man, like
on TV,
or do you think that there were more? They were the first two that you saw.
Well, no, they were the first two, like, in terms of English comedy, and I was, like, watching a set in London, and I saw them, and I was like, well, wow, it's tangible, because if I was in the front row, maybe a bead of spit would have hit my forehead. Wow. So I'm like, I've been touched by the comedy great ones. Now it's going to permeate into my pituitary, and I can do this. Yeah. But I figured my first...
Shaking his hand out.
Exactly, yeah. Thank you. You go home and jerking off without washing it. I've heard people have done that. But for me, I think it was Patrice O'Neill then, as a comic from like on TV, because I was shocked. I'd followed his comedy, but I didn't know his name, and I heard one of his closers, the Pepsi Cola rapist joke, fucking made me die years before I actually knew his real name. So I'd heard his comedy, gone to America, come back, started doing comedy here, and then I found that this dude had died, and I was like, well, wait a minute, you can't be the same guy. Found it was him, and then started just binging on all of his stuff. Yeah, I just loved how not give a fuck this guy was, and he went from being like one of the most underrated comics to now, since he's died, everyone's talked about him. So he was definitely one of those ones that I saw on the TV where I was like, gee, if I can just become a regular, not even a paid, but if I can just have like 10 or 20 minutes 3 nights a week, that's me, I'm happy. Yeah. It was pretty much based on his comedy, because he had a way of just like, if he wanted to get his philosophy out, he'd get it out. And I figured, if I really want to make people happy, I have to be able to get it out. I have a message, I just don't know, how to get out. Yeah.
And what is it you want to say? What is it for now you want to say? Just anything that irks you, or?
Like, you remember the Stretch Armstrong toy? Yeah. Yeah, that's, I know he was like this white dude, like, and I don't know, jockstrap or whatever he was wearing, but I figured there was a black Stretch Armstrong out there, and that was me. I was supposed to have arms really big enough to just wrap around the world and give the actual planet a hug, because people, en masse, can become panicky, finicky, false, whatever you want to call it, negative aspects of life. But this planet has just shown me one thing. You go to another country, you see people happy with nothing. You go to other countries, you see people absolutely miserable with everything. And there's a balance to it all. And if I can just hug all of the bullshit out of like just everyone and just tell them, listen, I love you all, even if you're crazy, stupid, whatever, I'm just here to just say, let's have some fun, please. And make sure that this hug is so fucking so tight that people just, they begin to sweat out all of that negativity, hatred, distrust, intolerance, and it's going to come very, very small. But I'm not going to run for office. I'm not going to be the next Martin Luther King. I know there is about 10 shooters on the roof waiting for the next guy to come along and say, hey everyone, let's love each other and world peace. You're going to be destined for a body bag. Yeah, it's really bad like that. And I figured the best way of actually making a stance is not being like a Martin Luther King, not running for office, but being an entertainer, because people want to be entertained. Yeah. And in the new age of 2017, you've got to be liked. So I feel like if it's better I let people like themselves, then in turn I can be liked for reminding them to like themselves instead of, like me, I'm funny. Yeah, you get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar, that sort of thing. Sweet to people, and they'll be hopefully be nice back to you. And if they're not, well, that's fine. You just don't talk to them again, isn't it? That's what it is. It's not even right into the stand-up, really, isn't it? You just got to be you, be the best you can be. When you're on a bill, you have to... It's all part of the team. Now, this person who was talking about was a wrestler, right? And he was saying that, because he's a wrestler, that it's all part of a team. You're working choreography, and if you don't get the moves right, someone could get hurt. Yes. And so when he took that mentality, he was into his wrestling massively. Martin Huburn he was on this as well, and he was saying that we got to get hurt. So if you're on a bill and you're in the middle spot, and then someone's got the headliner, what the jokes are doing, and you have a joke that's similar to the headliners, do you go ahead and do your joke of that on that night? Yes. And it's a great joke, and you ruin the headliner's maybe middle bit or whatever it is, you've got to be the best you can be. Yeah. And that headliner is going to be the best they can be. And if they're worth their salt, they can go, look,
they've done that joke, I'm dropping it, I'm going to do something else.
Yeah, or
you know?
riff on it as well.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, you know, and if it's like if the middle act has kind of blown it away and hammered it and gone, whoa, we know why we booked this guy now, and the headliner can go, hey, look, didn't he fucking do well? This guy is fucking amazing. Give it up, and it shows that they're not afraid.
It's true.
And you just got to be the best you can be and go, look, don't worry about it. Look, people are gonna make their own minds up. You can't change it. So at the moment, you're being the funniest person you can be, and you're writing the jokes as best they can be, so people can connect to you and go, look, these are my jokes, guys. You can talk to me afterwards, and we can properly get together and get to know each other. That's cool.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so you're writing your hour show, is that right, for this year?
Oh God, no! I could probably try and take it to 45, but I'm going for a half hour, and it's not even to really come out until I want to do end of the year, so that it's something that comes out either New Year's or early next year. In terms of, I'm going to use Edinburgh, Brighton, and Camden Fringe as my preview time, as knocking out all of these jokes. So I'm going to do it in kind of a semi-long format, so 15 minutes. And if I can get the chunks down properly, any new jokes that are added into it, there's a through line, and it's pretty much from fetus to 30. And I need to be able to somehow encapsulate like my first love, my middle love, which was girls, and then my love that I'm now constantly pursuing, which is comedy. And the through line has to be, you know, what's the funny of me from age 1 to 10, and then what's the funny for me from age 10 to 20, and then the last 10 years, my 30s, you know. It's been a bitch to write, I tell you that. I don't know why I put so much pressure on myself, but I figured if I can just introduce myself, get that done, record it, throw it out on YouTube, I can focus on trying to get these other things that are, you know, these other messages that I'm trying to get out there. So yeah, half an hour special. Pretty much anyone who's going to see me from now is going to be hearing some of the newest stuff they've probably ever heard me do, and it's basically to get ready for this half hour special.
Cool. And what's the name of it? Is it called From Fetus to 30? It's actually quite a catchy little name, man.
Should we just call that the working title for now? Yeah, From Fetus to 30. Yeah.
That's great.
Mel Knight's From Fetus to 30. That's the working title. I might not even go. The other one might have to be reserved for the hour special, but yeah.
Right, nice. And have you got a room in Edinburgh this year?
I'm not, no. I'm going down for 2 other people's shows, and then I'm just going to try and scrape away and do as many guest spots. I'm going to try and secure a room in Brighton, that's for sure. And I'm also going to be, you know Rick Moto?
Yeah.
He's doing his second special now. His first one, Self-Indulgent Rick, is already out now, I think, on iTunes and YouTube. So he told me he wants me to be on his next one in terms of, we're going to do a little promo at the beginning, and I think I'm going to be going around with him for some of the previews, so you'll be able to see me there as well.
Great. When you were in school and stuff, did you like to get to this performance dream that you've got?
I think always.
Did you do like what did you start? Like
I think I was Joseph. That was the first. Yeah,
funny Joseph.
That was the first. The first guy in history to not sling dick.
That's it. How the fuck did this happen? Hey, exactly. Hey Mary, come on.
Hey, what's going on?
I'm a white guy.
I mean, he kind of looks like me, but
Jesus was black.
We all look like this. Exactly. Yeah. How's my kid black? Yeah, that's a perfect sketch. Joseph's asking Mary, listen, I know you said this is God's kid, but why is he black? But yeah, he's. I played Joseph first. The second one was, oh God, it was like Mother Goose or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
I think I was maybe Bubbles. I managed to play Mercutio inside Year 7's Romeo and Juliet, and after that it was all extra work. So I wasn't doing any proper acting because I was working. So I was being an extra in bloody God knows how many things. Hotel Babylon, The Bill.
Oh yeah.
Nicholas Lyndhurst had a show on TV, the one with his family, Silent Witness. So that was fun. I turned down EastEnders, and I never worked for that agency again.
Oh no!
Because I turned down EastEnders. Yeah. But at the time, my cousin Garen Mitchell was starring in EastEnders. And for the sheer fact that my cousin and I are just on 2 different parts of the world, I'm a weed guy, he's a coke guy. That's what you guys need to know. So I never ended up going on to EastEnders. But yeah, that's where my acting kind of finished, and I started writing little ideas of scripts. I've got one I've been sitting on for almost 10 years now.
Okay.
And it's just something that I refuse to give to a studio to fucking bastardize. It's something where I'm like, if I manage to get enough money and I get to an office in Abu Dhabi, I can get some of these Arabs to foot the bill.
That sounds cool, man.
So it's a kind of multiverse, time traveling type paper.
massive sci-fi nerd.
Very massive sci-fi.
Okay,
yeah.
so which one is your favourite? Your favourite series now?
Shit. I was born in 84 though, so my mum always told me that I was a V baby. Like, so at the time, everyone in her circle was into V. They'd run home and watch it.
Yeah,
very dark.
Yeah, because like that...
The original still scares the shit out of me. It's like Stephen King's It. Put on the original... I close my eyes at certain bits because I'm like, I don't want to see the lights either.
Yeah.
So that V was very, very, very scary. But if I'm thinking of like, all-time sci-fi that's stuck in me, oh gosh, Firefly is awesome. Brilliant. It's absolutely awesome. Man. Yeah. Shame. But like almost cult things, it was ahead of its time. It stopped before its time, and now way after its time, it's super big.
Yeah, true.
But yeah,
the new Battlestar.
The new Battlestar is awesome. I like the old one to an extent. You know,
I tried, couldn't get into it.
Now,
it's like, what is that? No, but like I love.
You know, like The Prisoner as well. I'm not a number. I'm a free man. Where you're a prisoner on this bloody island. All of those ideas, I think it's an amalgam of all things sci-fi. As a kid, I suppose I found Blade Runner at like the age of 9. So that was it. I think once I saw Blade Runner, I just had this idea of... And Total Recall as well. There's so many. It's unbelievable.
But Arnie it combined with Arnie as well.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Arnie was the 80s.
Did you see the remake of Total Recall?
Fuck no. I
couldn't either.
I was like, just even the free-titted girl is not enough to get me to watch this film again. Because they're not on Mars anymore. And... You know, what I mean, from what I can see, it didn't look like looks like they're on Earth.
And it's Colin Farrell as well. Come on, like, where's the roids? I want more roids.
I want roids.
That's it.
I want a fat woman who all of a sudden turns into just a roided up guy who takes off the helmet. But you can't get that in Colin Farrell.
The most conspicuous guy ever, who is supposed to be a secret sort of resistance fighter. Oh, of course, they'll never pick him out of a lineup. I mean, he's huge.
Exactly.
You know?
And I think Arnie Schwarzenegger for me was. The fact that he was Austrian, but he always had these English names. That was like he was Ben Richards in The Running Man. He was I don't know. He just had some English names. Like, my name is Peter. My name is Peter Baisley. I know that's actually a comic. My name is Duke Bennington. You know, he just had all of these weird names. You're like, no, you're not. Your name is Hans something.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think
something Aryan.
Something Aryan, definitely. Something like I am here to take us back to the top. But yeah.
And so you're doing Camden when?
To be perfectly honest, I'm terrible with dates, dude. I would tell people to probably go to Mel Knight on Facebook, at Midnite Mel _ on Twitter, and Mel Knight on YouTube, because then I'll probably put up dates and stuff like that. I know Brighton is first, and then it's Camden just before Edinburgh.
Right.
I'm trying not to put too much emphasis. I should really book. I should be more like administrative and my own boss. But I'm also trying not to put that much pressure on when I find time to actually find a gig. Because I know many places which are doing previews and stuff. All I need is 10 minutes on someone's hour show, which I've already been offered. So yeah, watch this space.
Cool. Do you have a YouTube channel as well? Do you do sketches too?
No, just I put up like 1 or 2 gigs just so that I can better myself. I put up gigs and I'm like, well, now it's out there. You've got to be better than that video. Pretty much my podcast. So that's pretty much what I do on my YouTube channel. And I'm going to start probably doing like sketches and stuff like that. More content, but really it's just I wanted to find a home for my podcast because it's audio and video, so I figured if I left it on Vimeo or on my own website, it'll be harder for people to get. And most people, they just turn on their computer and go straight to YouTube. That's their go-to channel. So yeah, on YouTube.
So do you do any writing with any other people, or just like you're working on your show at the moment?
I've done a little bit, but you know what? It's more. It comes out in natural conversation. So someone will be like, Mel, can I run a joke past you? And I used to tell people, don't do that. I hate when you're like, oh, let me tell me if this is funny. I'll be like, can you save it until you're on stage? Because you're different in front of a crowd of strangers than you'll ever be in front of me. In front of me, you might be super confident, overconfident, and I might miss the tone of your entire premise. But every once in a while, in the middle of conversation, I might say something and somebody might go, oh, can I take that? I'll be like, of course. And I have no idea what they're talking about until I see it on stage and I'll be like, Mel, do you remember that thing? Yeah, I used it in that. I was like, really? Wait, oh, that bit. Oh, okay. That's awesome. So
I said that. That's my bit.
Well, because I might not have a use for it, but they've got this entire joke, which this one line is now that pit that can keep it on the tracks. And so that mostly comes out when I'm just talking and someone goes, oh, can I? I'll be like, what's that for? And then I'll be like, okay, give me a second. All right, let me run this past you, blah, 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 blah. And then I say, and I'm like, oh, yeah, of course, yeah, use it. I would have never used it in that. And usually that's how organic most conversations are. You can find a joke out of something innocent that someone says. You're like, I'm sorry, can I please? I got to use that. Sorry, that's just way too good to be just used in civilians. Yeah. Like, take this onto the comedy.
And you don't write for any like anything else apart from your acting?
No, just my act, music. But that's only recent. I've only just been doing music like for the last year. Oh yeah. I've learned how to play the guitar, and I've got two friends who basically do beats. They make musical beats. Hip hop. One's a kind of a jazz, a kind of housey music. Basically, my best friend growing up in school, he's like an MC now. He started rapping for no reason. We both grew up in the hood, and all of a sudden one day he's just at my table rapping. I'm like, how fucking dare you have all this hidden talent? So he goes, bro, you used to write poems before back in the day. I'm like, I'm not doing none of this rapping shit. But at the same time, I think modern day rap and modern day music is so bad. It's terrible. There's no lyrics anymore. It's you know, I can only listen to music with no lyrics, and if it's like more than 6 minutes long, oh dear, that's me. Then I can just melt to some guitar or some harp or flute. What would you listen to chill out to? Herbie Hancock, to be perfectly honest. I like jazz. I really do like jazz. I've been listening to like some 1970s, 1978 Japanese folk kind of jazz band. One called Samurai, the other one, I don't know his name, but the name of the album's called Masterless Samurai. Right. And it's pretty much like time traveling. That's why I call it. Some days I get so busy that I'm like, okay, you've put aside 2 hours, you're going to roll 2 joints, you're going to get out your notepad, you're going to make yourself a cup of herbal tea, you're going to stick on this entire album for 40 minutes, and you're just going to travel to that time. Most of the music, you know, is from a certain part of the world, like contemporary America, Italy, France. And I'm listening to music from the 70s, 60s or 80s, and I'm like, well, I'm there. Because for right now, I've blocked out the outside world. I'm not on my phone, and it's just me and my thoughts. And before you know it, because I feel lost in time, I'm grounded in my thoughts now. Because it's like, you don't exist here, so what's true to you? And I'm like, well, you know, where I'm from, in my time, people do this. And so the world seems so much more simpler when I've taken myself somewhere else. So lots of jazz. And Janko Nilovic, which is some dude from Montenegro. He's got like a very weird kind of 80s kind of jazz.
Right. That's kind of cool though. I like your process there. You're kind of like, I'm just going to take myself out of this reality completely, and the only thing that's going to link me back is my notepad and pen.
Yes.
And that is, it's like you're like astral projecting and sort of like putting your thoughts through a body that isn't here anymore, is somewhere else, just chilling out. Like, so your body is chilling in the real world, but in this other world, you're like,
it's over there.
It's playtime. It's great.
Yeah, because I believe in dimensions. Like, I believe there's probably a fourth, maybe a fifth dimension. I believe the fourth and fifth dimension is like when you dream. It's when your mind can access thoughts, patterns, and recognitions and stimuli outside of your body's involvement. So when you sleep, you're completely static for like 8 hours. If you're getting your good 8 hours, sometimes you get less. And while you're there, you're doing something. And sometimes you can retain the memory when you wake up. Like, well, I know I was in bed all this time because I peed it. Okay, so you know where you were, but then at some point your mind is remembering like memories of something that never existed. So I believe if you can access this bloody dimension, you can do it either through music or just meditation. And while you're there, your thoughts are so much more clearer. It's like, okay, you don't exist here. Before they interrogate you, what's your story? I'm just taking a vacation from the third dimension. It's very boring and it's raining, so I wanted to see what's going on with these aliens. And you know, it's you can have fun with it.
Yeah. And do you meditate as well?
Only when I have a bath. Only when I get a bath. I don't do much yoga, but when I did Kundalini yoga, that was very good.
All right.
It's very, very like mind changing.
What's the difference between Kundalini? I know it's a Hatha yoga, which is a hot one.
Yeah.
And then what's Kundalini?
Kundalini yoga, I think, is more it's like spiritual, where a woman is actually talking about like releasing your chakra, finding your center, being in a place of wholeness and stuff, using all these buzzwords, and I'm just like, she's hot as fuck for a 60-year-old. But like in my head, I'm just like, I need to do unwind and stuff, and it's nice to hear a woman, you know, just who, you know, she might be 60 but looks incredibly young in her body and in the way she acts, just tell you, well, this is one way of you unlocking something. And I'm like, well, yeah, you know, she's hot, and just listen to her hot voice and try not to look at her hot butt. And I can feel my body actually accepting. I'm older, but I can still move and contort and feel better. So yeah, I did that a while. I was just burning through way too many yoga pants, man. Those boners, Primark yoga pants, they're just not equipped for black dicks, let's just say that. So yeah, no, I haven't done much yoga. My only meditating is when I'm at home, and like I said, the 2 hours of music and writing and smoking some really good weed.
Yeah, you know, I think everything's meditation in a way. If you're, you know, say you get up, you roll your 2 joints, and then, like, you put on your jazz, and like you have your notepad there, think that one thing, or you block it all out, man. That's. Do you do improv as well?
I'm doing a lot more now. I mean, I used to do street comedy, and I used to just go on like a tube and walk from one character to the other and just like not fuck with people, but you know, like just be crazy, and see how they react to certain situations. I walked around with a cup once, on the tube. People just bowing their heads. I never said anything to anyone. I just kept walking around with the cup, and I figured I just want them to feel like I'm too nervous to ask for money, so that they won't look at me. Because this is an exercise of I'm on the tube. People constantly look at you. If you're not got headphones on and reading the newspaper, you're weird. So they just look at you like, what's he doing? And so I figured with having the cup, scruffing up my hair a little bit, I should have probably rolled in some mud and looked really derelict, but I figured people would think that I was begging on the tube and it was a social experiment. So the first time I did that, I was like, well, the tube is a constant social experiment. Why don't you next time ask if you can read a newspaper? Next time see if you can chat a girl up. Next time see if you can start a conversation with someone. Oh, where are you off to? Oh yeah, I'm going there. Well, you got to be careful, you know. Yeah, that tube stopped today. Well, I don't usually see you in the mornings, but I'll say hi tomorrow. And they're like, oh, okay. And it's just human interaction, and I like when you're in such a confined space, how far can you push the envelope of being genuine? Because most of the time I was genuine, and other times I realised some people might look at you in a different way. So I just want to permeate this shield that we all throw up, and it's never more evident than on the tube.
Yeah, just knocking on their shield. Hello, I'm here. They're like, you've broken through my force field.
Do I lie in the force field? I'm not too sure about this person.
I need to turn this force field up.
And then when you help an old lady's carry her onto the train, they're like, oh, okay, that seems okay. Reduce shield power down to 50, so you can almost like get close enough to it. Yeah.
That's mad. That's it. It's good. You're just testing the boundaries of what people are comfortable with. Then, really, that's cool, and it makes you comfortable too. You know, okay, fine. Well, every situation, what's the problem?
It's the facial tells I think I'm trying to pick up, because when I'm on stage, I'm trying not even to look at the crowd anymore, but I feel it's rude sometimes when you're just always like that and they're over there. If you can see where a crowd might lean against something you're going down towards, and you can pick that up in eyes and body language, it's great that you can steer the act towards somewhere else, or have your joke hit a different impact and not like, you know, when people talk about politics and I don't know, like, 9/11 was an inside job, do the research, people are like, oh my god, they're going down a conspiracy route, tin hat time. Some people do clench up, so I think it's very good to understand how a human being might change and accommodate that.
And you're testing your own fear as well.
Yeah.
So when you're on stage, that's going to really help you. And you could, rather than going, they're doing this, and going, oh no,
exactly.
It's okay. Yeah. I've got this. If I stay relaxed, they're going to relax too. And that's a good little experiment for yourself. It's more of a test on you, really, because they will not really learn much from it. They'll just go, oh, this person was quite a nice person. I was really tense, and then they were okay. Oh, because I relaxed a little bit, but they won't know the momentum that you're carrying is a key to you, not to them.
Absolutely.
And hopefully some stuff will rub off on them as well. But you know,
I think so.
It's, as you say, you're like trying to be the black Stretch Armstrong of the world. That's kind of cool, man. And what other social experiments have you done like that? Have you the tube, or where else?
Done the tube. Obviously,
to kind of escape. Like a hostage situation, really.
Pretty much. I think I've held a few hospital waiting rooms to.
That's type 5, right? What do you think of this? Right?
Tonight I'm at the Comedy Store. Can I run this by you guys? Cool. No, I think that the hospital waiting rooms are probably some of my favourites, because I'm not going to say the man's full name, but there was an A. Hiscock, a man who was called first name A, surname Hiscock, and I was like, Mr. Hiscock, we're looking for an A. Hiscock. Can anybody get hold of a Hiscock? And the moment I said it, I was like, oh, there's a lot worse coming out than it was when And I walked back inside in shame, and then all of a sudden I come back out, and I'm seeing there's another one, and I was like, okay, T-ball?
No.
We're looking for T-ball.
Yeah.
Okay, so First Hiscock and now T-Ball. Do you think they're off somewhere just forgetting that they had an appointment? No. Yeah. And I start getting looks from people like, well, that's kind of funny. And I'm like, well, you're older. I thought that would have hit like these younger ones. But so your demographic is you like saucy, older, like carry-on comedy. So I've used that now based on whatever days I'm in that waiting area. If it's like the orthopedics, the old people going to see about their hips, I've got the perfect comedy for them, which is right up their alley. And it usually ends with like a grim imagery, like, oh, trust me, by the time I was finished, her pillow looked like it had birds' custard spit all over it. And there's people like, oh, birds. It's a bit yellowy, isn't it? And I'm like, well, think about it. We drank a lot of lemonade, and it's like, oh Lord.
I like that. That's
so it's I give them imagery, but also it's something that they can all relate to. At the end of the day, I've done something which is a faux pas, but then I put the product or the time and the place, and it's like, oh, I was there, I saw that,
and those little references as well that they can go, hang on a minute, the bird's custard is yellow.
Yeah,
and then so it takes it away from the
the green.
He's completely right. I mean, it may be graphic, but he needs to get his graphic jokes completely correct.
Exactly, yeah. Especially when I go like, my man Gravy's better than better than your store bought band. Bisto. And then like people are like, well, what are you? No, cancel the roast. We're not eating Bisto tonight. You just ruined it for us. And I said, I was just man gravy. But there's many little things that just come out of my mouth that I don't even realise I've said. And once the cat's out of the bag, then I realise that's funny in that moment for whoever found that funny.
And so all the people at work know you do comedy as well?
Almost all of them. Not everyone, because I'm freelance now, so I don't kind of belong to one particular building.
Yeah.
But I've got a weird little dilemma with my Facebook or my social media. Like my Twitter pretty much is people who know I do comedy. My Instagram pretty much is half friends, half family. Those friends know I do comedy. Some of the family members have just started finding out. So with Facebook, I've got a few work colleagues, a few members of the family and friends who are like, oh, I didn't know you do comedy. I'm like, yeah, it's a job.
Yeah.
And at that point I realised that's where the chasm, that divide of, well, you're a clown, you're a professional, like you should, I thought you had your life sorted out, you had things looking up. What do you mean you're now gonna struggle like an actor, like you're gonna go from audition to audition? I'm like, well, I'm happy. And I feel like a job where you're so happy and it gives you time and freedom to be creative, nothing beats that. And I think if I was in an office or if I stayed in the high levels of working in a hospital, I would not be as funny and give as much back to the world. So when they see how happy I am, then they're like, I'm going to come and see one of your shows. I've looked at all of these photos and you look like you're having fun. Or I saw your podcast, you know what I mean? I didn't even realise you have the guests on and they were like, yeah, they look comfortable. Yeah. But was that tobacco or was that weed? Oh, okay, it was weed. So a lot of them are finding that shit and I'm like...
I mean, they're like, the weed's fine, but look, this comedy thing, we need to have an intervention.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, wait, I'm doing this song and you've censored all of the swear words, but you let like bitch slide. I'm like, how could you do that? This is 2017. She's a young lady.
None of your family come see you yet then?
No.
None at all?
No.
Wow.
Well, other than I called him my brother from another mother, my best friend, his mum who did my hair, Kathleen's Creations. She's kind of like an adopted mum, so to speak. I've been taken in by a lot of people. They're like my extended family, so he's definitely like a brother and she's like my mum, and they both come and see me perform. And my best friend Peter, growing up, like when I was 13, had my first joint with this dude. Actually, I had my first cigarette with this dude. Let's just say he was my gateway, okay? This is white kids called Peter.
Yeah, was he a gateway? Was he a gate? Was he there with a gate and like the wings?
No, he was just kind of like the typical, like you've got one of those shepherd sticks, looks like a hook on it, and he just hooked me in one day.
A list of all your pros and cons. Yeah, like
really.
You've done well here. Like, have a joint.
Yeah, not really. He was just like, you want to be like one of the cool kids? Well, smoke this, and I fucking threw up. And he goes, thank God it happened with just me and you around the corner of this bin. If anyone saw that, they would have called you a pussy. And I goes, well, what am I now? Didn't I thrown up? He goes, well, you're still a pussy, but just to me. So he kind of gave me this kind of man balls and got me onto my little pathway of just, I saw the world a little bit more differently thanks to this guy. Comedy, I think my family is now my crowd, which is a bit sad from some people who've heard me say that. They're like, oh, he doesn't have anyone. Well, I do. I've got extended family. I've got great friends. And I'm still kind of in touch with my family. They're just so crazy. I've kept enough distance, probably as much distance like from my house to yours. And even though they're quite far away, I can access them whenever they need me. And I think one day when I've made enough money, I can just buy them a nice big house and buy them a maid and never have to see them again. Just know that on a set of monitors or baby monitor that they're still breathing and that they're okay. But the family will probably see me one day. I'll probably send them my YouTube link or a DVD.
Yeah, Christmas.
Yeah, probably one of those.
Yeah.
No, and unfortunately, I don't do Christmases anymore. Since my brother passed away, actually, that was probably maybe a year before he passed. That was like the last Christmas I celebrated. I was dating a girl. She was from another country, though. She wanted me to move all the way back to her country. So
Where was that?
Spain.
Whoa.
So she wanted me to go back to her country for Christmas, and I was like, listen, I've kind of got my own Christmas day. I wrapped myself up at least 6 presents, smoke them before noon, before the Queen's speech, because I've got to be high before she talks. I cooked myself a nice dinner, though. I used to be a chef, so the idea is I would go all out on the food. I'll fucking eat like a king. And then I'll watch a bunch of movies and have an exfoliating shower, just call up some friends, watch some movies. Yeah,
a real pamper day.
Definitely.
Nice.
It's a me day, you know.
Yeah, it should be.
I might even buy quilted toilet paper just to jerk off with. Because
that's fair.
Why go for the free play? You know,
be good to yourself, man. That's right. So at the moment you're working on your fringe show, half an hour, and we do with Rick as well. I can do Camden.
Yeah, I'm going to do a little cameo with Rick.
So you don't know the name of it yet.
From 30 to feet, it sounds like a great working title, isn't it? So from feet to 30.
Because that might, because that's 30 minutes as well.
Yeah.
That might work. Well, I don't know. Look, you're welcome. You can have it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, good. You're welcome.
I like the fact that you're like, you can have something that came out of your mouth that I validated for you. You can use what you just said. I've given you permission.
Welcome, you're welcome. It's fine. It's part of the service. Look, so you're writing that at the moment, and you're going to go to the Fringe this year.
Edinburgh. I think I'm kind of gonna do this kind of crazy amalgamation of different sets, but it's going to be the entire half an hour set if I'm lucky, if not 25 minutes, and just piece each bit together. Because I've written them in 5-6 minute chunks anyway. So there's ways that I can get around recording the entire thing so it looks like, he's recorded it in 5 different places, but really it's 5 different 5-minute spots, which is why it's 25 minutes in the entirety. But yeah, just try and get each joke out and see the reaction on different rooms and different crowds, and then all splice it together. Just
get better. Just Edinburgh get better. Oh, what was your biggest low first of the last couple of years in comedy?
It was because I say I love people and I love this planet.
You can totally destroy all that now.
I've done it. I dropped an atom bomb. It was one of the worst bombings I've had in a long time. Well, no, ever. I've never bombed this hard on stage, and I don't think I've bombed it hard since. But it was at, I think, the Soho Comedy place, Soho Comedy Theatre or Comedy Club. I've done it before, and I was good. Went there the second time. For some reason, I was off that night. And I got heckled by this 7 foot tall giraffe woman who was with her 4'1". I don't know if it was a husband, boyfriend, whatever. But the moment she started talking and he was kind of smirking at me, I then decided to abandon my material and ask them questions, and it was kind of weird at that point because. I was asking him, has he ever Spider-Man'd her on the wall? Because he seems like the type of guy that will keep a lot of cum, just bulging in his balls. He seems like he's got a guy who's got loads of big balls but really small penis. Would I be wrong in that? Because some people have 90% stalk, 10% mushroom in it, but I feel like he's got 90% mushroom and 10% stalk, and so. It seemed more like I was attacking them, and I realised at that point I can see why the crowd probably thought, okay, you're picking on them, but really they spoke and I was just ready to light them up. So and I took this kind of advice from a comedian where it's if you're bombing, don't try and win the crowd back, just take everyone down, take them all out, and then that way you've killed the entire room by bombing, and then you can just leave with your head high knowing that no one found you exciting. And after that, let's just say I felt kind of bad because I apologised to the promoter after the show. I was like, thanks for the opportunity. I'm sorry I did so bad. And I actually was hanging out with a comic who got me the gig that night. I haven't spoken to him since. And I mean, I have. I've called him up, tried to see if we can have just a friendly drink. And we used to do writing sessions together, which is funny. He used to come around all the time. and I'll write with him. Literally, that was like, from that bombing, it changed his perception of me as a person. But then it also changed my perception of him. I was like, you son of a bitch. I'm 10 times better than I was that night. When I bomb, it's just because I've got good jokes that probably the punchline has been worked out enough, or I step on it. But, you know, I've moved on I've evolved from then, which I liked about the bombing. I've learned as a person, whereas that guy, I think, you know, because of the way he was judging me, that's why that's like one of those lows in comedy, because I realise you can alienate or isolate or lose people.
Yeah, be learning, isn't it? Yeah, it's how it's going to be. You can't, you know, it's like, as you said, I totally agree with it when you say you send a clip to a promoter and you say, hey, look, I'm just going to be better than my clip. Totally agree with that. That's exactly, I've just got to remind them why they booked me. That's it. I've got to be better than that clip, and that's all I've got to be. Like, oh man, you were good there, but you were great. I'm better. Because it's been time between that clip and now.
Exactly.
And that's great, man. And so what's your biggest high?
I've not reached it yet. I think one of my biggest highs is having my podcast, I think, and some of the really amazing people that have said that they're willing to go on it. That for me humbles me to no end. I think Jamali Maddox was one of the first comedians that I probably was hanging around with off stage. I saw him at a few gigs and I spoke to him, and he agreed to just do the podcast before he went fucking nuclear hot. Like, I mean, the guy is like fucking, and more power to him, he deserves it, but he's now so shit hot. Every time I call him, he's got a new telephone and he doesn't know who I am. So it's like, hey Jamal, how you doing, bro? And he goes, who's this? I was like, it's Mel. Oh my god, Mel, how you doing, man? Is this your same number? I was like, oh my god, what is this, phone number 20? So like, he's moving so fast as a human being that it's hard to catch up with him. But I remember he did one of my very first ones with a mutual friend, Mikey, and then he did another one with just me and him. I think for me, the high is knowing that I had somebody who's doing so well in comedy right now, and he was like one of my first ever guests. And the fact that I've actually shared a stage with so many people that I respect. I think my biggest high is yet to come. I think my biggest high was, when I turned the corner and I realised, okay, I'm going to do a special, I'm going to do a podcast. When I was confident enough to take this where it needs to go, and I'm still soaring. That's why I'm like,
you're still learning. That's it. It's all the same. If you never stop learning. And the great thing about doing a podcast is you've got to be so self-aware, and you hear your own voice and go, oh my god, that's me.
God,
I've got to really think about what I say.
I've tried to sound different based on the fact that I hate how I sound. You know what I mean? Like, more power to you. You're going to edit this, and you're going to have to hear yourself. And I couldn't do it. I'll be like, every time I hear myself, and then go back to listen to the guest, and here he comes again.
You know, it's difficult because sometimes you go through a thing and say something. I used to get this massive problem as well. Like 2 problems when I first started. Like, I like to just say them as well. The links. It's like, look, you know. I was like, man, they've said something, and I've said it the same thing, but reversed it. The other way around. I'm like, what are we doing?
So all of a sudden, there's
That's
two.
not a conversation.
And all of a sudden, there's 2 competing Twitters. Where one of them is like Mel Knight _ the other one's like Mel Knight Mel _ Knight. And like, some dude's just giving me loads of shit. Like, excuse me, mate, I wasn't on this podcast. And everyone's sending me links asking for my half-an-hour special. I'll be like, listen, dude, don't worry, I'll bring you on my show. We can both tell, you know. But that's what happens. I think, like you said, when you're confident enough and you feel like you're humble enough to say that I'm always going to learn, you'll get what you need in life, you know, just as long as you're willing to keep going. You can't just say, I've learned all there is to learn, I'm a headliner, give me jonglers. Okay, good luck with that. Because I think even when you've been doing it for 10, 20 years, you still learn more shit.
Exactly, it's true. And so where can we come see you?
April 20th, I'll be at Confused Comedy in Peckham Rye, and that is at the Four Quarters. I will also be at the King's Head in Crouch Hill in April. And also I will be at Funny Feckers, I think. That will be coming up in May. And I'll also be doing Gagged and Bound, or G&B, sorry, they don't call it Gagged and Bound anymore, because of an incident that happened between a comedian and a child. But yeah, I'll be doing G&B comedy, and that will be in late April as well.
Well, I think that's it, Mel. I think we've come to the end
of the podcast. This was banging, mate. This was absolutely banging. And for anyone listening out there, you can't see it, but the dude has made his own man cave, and it's just I've got some DIY ideas now. I'm going to be looking for containers and shit. This is awesome, man. I love this.
And it inspires you to do some stuff with a wall that you've painted in green screen paint.
Dublin green.
You've committed fully.
Definitely.
You're like, right, I've ruined a wall for nothing if I don't use it.
Yeah.
That is exactly
It's a nice focus wall, though.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a very good wall.
It is good.
And thanks for being on the show, dude. I think you're doing... every once in a while I take a look on your wall just to see where you've got up to, and you're literally burning through at a really good pace, man. I hope you're more success with this and for the new show as well.
Well, Mel Knight, thank you for coming on the show, and check out your podcast,
Midnite Hour podcast. That's on YouTube. Just type in Mel Knight on Google, and I'm the dude with cane rows. And until then, have fun, guys.
Nice one. Thanks for coming on, man.
Cheers, buddy.
Great. Thanks, man. And that was Mel Knight for episode 42. Go find his podcast on YouTube. Subscribe to it. It's called The Midnite Hour. He's a very funny guy, easygoing guy. Go follow him on Twitter. Go find him on Facebook. And go and see him live. He's touring his half-an-hour special, which he's hammering out. He's going to be taking that to the Camden Fringe, the Brighton Fringe, and, of course, the Edinburgh Fringe. He's going to be doing stuff with Rick Murta, also another friend of this podcast. You can also follow this podcast on Twitter at The Comedy Defect. You can follow me at Winter Phonander. If you want to come see my live stand-up gig dates for the previews of my upcoming show called Tolerance, they're on my website, which is winterphonander.com. If you want to support this podcast, you can find us on Patreon. Go to Patreon, type in The Comedy Defect, and you can donate as little as £1 or as much as you feel this podcast is worth. But if you can't kick something back to us, hey look, just leave us a nice honest review on iTunes or Podbean. Subscribe on iTunes. Subscribe on Podbean. Also, we're on YouTube now. Subscribe there as well. I don't talk for too much longer because I'm knackered. Next week we have for episode 43, Adam Vincent. Adam Vincent is a very funny comedian and writer. He was one of 3 comics that were representing Australia in NBC's Last Comic Standing. He's also written for Hammersmith Apollo. For the British Comedy Awards, the show that he is a co-writer on, called The Last Leg, was nominated for a British Comedy Award. Now, that is for episode 43, and that is for next week. And so that is it from this episode of the Comedy Defect podcast. We'll see you next week with Australian comedian and writer Adam Vincent. See you next week, guys.